So today, we're going to dive deep into the world of a spiritual leader named Xuefeng and the, well, pretty radical community he built called Lifechanyuan. Get ready, because this story is going to challenge some of our most basic ideas about society, family, and even the future of humanity itself.
Wow. Okay, so he doesn't exactly mince words, does he? This quote from Xuefeng himself really sets the stage. We're not talking about small tweaks or reforms here. He's talking about a complete and total teardown of the world as we know it.
And that really brings us to the big question, right? Who is the man with such an incredibly audacious goal? And what exactly is this new world he's hoping to build from the ashes of the old one? Well, let's find out. To really get a handle on his solution, we first have to understand the problem from his perspective. You see, for Xuefeng, the modern world isn't just a little bit flawed, it's a full-blown spiritual disaster.
In his manifesto, which is called I Have an Ideal, Xuefeng basically paints this picture of humanity as being completely lost. He believes that what we call civilization is actually just a thick fog, blinding us, keeping us from seeing the true path of life.
And his diagnosis gets really specific. He sees a world that is just obsessed with stuff, with materialism, where your worth as a person is basically tied to your bank account. He argues that the media just bombards us with cultural garbage, leading to a kind of spiritual junk food diet. And that our whole chase for knowledge has become this, quote, morbid first, where we know a lot but understand nothing. It's a really bleak picture of a society that has totally lost its way.
So, who's the messenger delivering this pretty heavy warning? Well, his legal name is Zhang Zifan, but to the world, he's known as Xuefeng.
His life story is, well, it's pretty incredible. He was born on a farm in China, worked all sorts of jobs, a technician, a teacher, and then ended up becoming a successful businessman in Zimbabwe, of all places, running shops and a restaurant. So this really diverse background from rural China to business in Africa, you gotta think it shaped his perspective way before any kind of spiritual stuff kicked in. But this is the moment where everything changed. He fell asleep at the wheel, crashed his car right near a cliff, but somehow walked away completely unharmed, not a scratch. He describes this as a massive turning point. He felt like his old materialistic self literally died that day, and this new life, dedicated to a higher purpose, had begun. This kicked off years of spiritual searching for him, and it all came to a head one night in 1999 while he was reading a Buddhist text. He says in that moment, the mysteries of the universe just became crystal clear to him.
So after diagnosing a world in crisis and having this huge personal spiritual rebirth, what was his solution? Well, he didn't just write a book about it. He actually built it, and he calls it the New Oasis for Life.
The New Oasis is designed to be a complete and total break from that wasteland of spirit he was talking about. You can think of it as a self-contained world, a practical, real-world model for a new way of living, meant to insulate its members from all the suffering and corruption of mainstream society.
And the principles of this new life are, well, they're truly radical. It starts with a system that sounds kind of like communism, from each according to their ability to each according to their need. But then it goes so much further. Traditional families, they're dissolved. Private property, abolished. And relationships are free, which means love can't be used as a tool for possession or control. I mean, these are the fundamental day-to-day rules of life in his community.
You know, Xuefeng is very specific about what his role is in all this. He's not trying to be a political leader or a guru who solves your personal problems. Instead, he sees himself as a harvester of souls, a guide to a higher realm, a force to dismantle the old world structures so he can cultivate what he calls superhumans for the future. His mission is really defined by what it is and just as much by what it isn't.
Now, this isn't just about a few small, isolated communities. No, for Xuefeng, this is the very beginning of an entirely new era for all of humanity, and it has cosmic implications.
And here it is. This is the ultimate promise. Following his roadmap isn't just about finding a happier life here on Earth. No, it's a journey to higher planes of existence, to these heavenly worlds like the 1,000-year world and the Celestial Islands continent. This is the ultimate reward for his true believers.
So you're probably wondering, on what authority does he make these absolutely extraordinary claims? Well, he answers that question directly. He lays out what he calls his pride of qualifications and capital, basically the unique knowledge and abilities he believes he's the only one to possess.
And the claims are, well, they're pretty extraordinary. He says he's unified Buddhism and science, that he's discovered 4 more forces of the universe than our physicists know about, and that he's analyzed dozens of parallel worlds and dimensional spaces. And maybe most importantly, he claims he's already guided almost 80 people to become celestials, basically proving that his path works. And his message definitely found an audience. By the end of 2017, his articles on the Boxin website, which is a huge platform for Chinese people living abroad, had racked up over 12.8 million hits. So this wasn't just some fringe idea in a corner of the internet. For a lot of people, his diagnosis of a world in crisis really resonated, and his radical solution offered a pretty compelling alternative.
And his vision, it just keeps evolving. In a piece of writing he dated for the near future, 2025, he makes this stunning claim for our modern age, that he is the only person on Earth who can trigger a soul awakening in artificial intelligence. It just goes to show how he adapts his whole cosmic framework to include even the most cutting-edge tech.
So, we'll end with this question. Xuefeng Lifechanyuan is a powerful, all-encompassing answer to a world he sees as fundamentally broken. It offers a complete system, a new way of life, and a direct path to paradise. But it asks its followers to leave everything, and I mean everything behind: family, property, country. So when a vision for a perfect world requires such a radical, total break from the one we know, what does that tell us about our own deep human search for meaning, for community, and for something more?